And we know that many of you are Ohana also live in the desert, which is so beautiful. So this one is contextualized. I pray that it would be a blessing in knowing that even in our own homes, in our aina, in our lands, Kioki comes to meet us. Please sing along.
Many rivers do I have to cross? How many deserts do I have to walk on this weary road? 'Cause when my well ran dry, some say one day at a time. Spoken words and poison lies. I see the pain running from the light, confusion rising, and you ask me why. Some say one day at a time. One day I will be right by your side. One day everything will be alright. One day this pain will subside, and out of the ashes we will rise. Today you are here right by our side. Today everything will be alright. Today this pain will subside, and out of the ashes we will rise. And out of the ashes we will rise. Today you are here right by our side. Today everything will be alright. Today this pain will subside, and out of the ashes we will rise. And out of the ashes we will rise. And out of the ashes we will rise.
This melody is entitled O'Oi Iyo, and this was written by Luke Morgan, one of our Maori brothers. We're actually only gonna do it in Olelo, Hawaii, in Hawaiian language. It was written in Te Reo and then translated into Hawaiian by one of our elders, Kumu Kaho'okele Crab. And basically it's using the ancient name of our creator that we use to call our creator in Pacifica, and for here in Hawaii in particular as well. So this is a translation, like a poetic translation on the right side, but it's saying you are supreme creator, our heavenly parent, the living water, that's Holy Spirit. Humuola, our source of life, the one who has made all things. Ekuhapu, my chief, like the greatest chief. Maunike'ala, the highest mountain. o'oy iyo. So the last line is just going to be the same as the first. It's not there. But I welcome you if you'd like to join in. I know many through the WJEF years have also worshipped Kioki, our creator, with this mele. And we're so grateful to our Maori Ohana in sharing this with us as well. It was birthed on Hawaii Island in Hawaii as like at a gathering of some Ohana that were really seeking Kioki to birth songs that resonated in our lands, in our aina, that came through the aina, that resonated deep in our na'au, in our gut, in our hearts. So yeah, it's simple, but if you'd like to express your aloha to our creator through hula, you can join along with me. It's a sitting.
Mahalo, Moani and Kioki, for sharing that sacred thing. Oh, and just real quick, Moani will be leading a seminar this evening if you would like to learn more about moving with the Holy Spirit. All right.
Yat e anastro. Jik e adochadene. She e Rashawn Ramone shia. Doin in the shiniki e ashin slon the kedene pashin. Twinich in the siche, touching nationale, could ela to the ne is teen isle. Toryorn Natnijin Eshanasha. As the Nest Society, we are a matrilineal society, so we introduce ourselves with our mother's clan. So my clans are Mutt clan, born for the Mexican clan. My maternal clan is Bitterwater, and paternal clan is Running into the Water clan.
I think listening to Creator can be considered a lifetime skill. Some people know what to do early in their lives, but others struggle at it. I had to invite non-natives to come to the reservation and help them learn how to listen. I saw this as a challenge because it should have been the other way around. Missionaries would come to the native communities, host a vacation Bible school, fix homes, always give us a Bible, and then leave. While some of this work was helpful, it always made natives feel like a project instead of a partner. Natives know how to lead and care for the land. We are looking for friends and partners. It is sad to me that missionaries didn't listen to us in our vision of restoration for our land and people. Creator has been speaking to us too. He has given us a vision that we could have shared with the missionaries.
This program is different. Listen, Learn and Serve the Navajo Land program is transforming what missions is perceived to be and helps us listen to Creator God to hear where He is at work in your life, as well as the lives of natives in their land. Listen, led me to listen more to my community and witness what Creator is doing in people's homes and land. I believe this way of going to the community is how the gospel should have been given to Native people. It led me to work with Native students on how to be a host and help non-natives to listen well. There have always been natives in the program, and we will invite them to share their stories.
A clan brother shared with us an ancient technique used by indigenous people from Central America to restore the land and retain water from erosion. He taught this technique to local kids and hoped to see the ground retaining more water and bring more vegetation. I learned this technique when I was growing up too. It nearly took about 10 years to see a spring. The land used to be filled with vegetation, but the conquistadors brought cows and other animals that caused erosion on the land. Now when the water comes, it stays and waters the ground. This has been a small miracle. Vegetation has returned to our land that has not been seen in a number of years. This is the power of Native leadership and following Creator's vision of restoration.
I know that listen only happens in the summer. I want for as many people to experience it as possible. Creator has also given me a journey through the book of Nehemiah in the Bible. I see so many parallels between Nehemiah's journey to see Jerusalem restored and my journey to see my land restored. I created a 6-part study called Visions of Restoration Project. It takes you through each of Nehemiah's big steps in seeing his land restored and offers reflections about how Creator is calling you to be part of what He wants to do in your land. The studies cover vision, brokenness, healing, and how to bring Jesus and culture together in ways that honor our people. I also included short video stories from a student who has been on this journey. She shares about how Creator has been working in her life to see restoration in her land, family, and people. So please think and pray about listen, and in the meantime, check out the Visions of Restoration project here.
Yate, my name is Wade Adakai, and I am one of the co-founders of Little Chase, which is an academic duo that produces videos. And thank you to Timothy Webster for inviting me to be part of this Would Jesus Eat Fry Bread 2020 event. And the theme is the whole community of creation. And before we even go any further, let's go all turn to Acts 7, and we're going to start in verse 20. At this time, Moses was born, and he was beautiful in God's sight. And he was brought up for 3 months in his father's house. And when he was exposed, Pharaoh's daughter adopted him and brought him up as her own son. And Moses was instructed in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and he was mighty in his words and deeds. When he was 40 years old, it came into his heart to visit his brothers, the children of Israel. And seeing one of them wronged, he defended the oppressed man and avenged him by striking down the Egyptian. He supposed that his brothers would understand that God was giving them salvation by his hand, but they did not understand. And on the following day he appeared to them as they were quarreling, and tried to reconcile them, saying, Men, you are brothers. Why do you wrong each other? The man who was wronging his neighbor thrust him aside, saying, Who made you a ruler and judge over us? Do you want to kill me as you killed the Egyptian yesterday? At this retort, Moses fled and became an exile in the land of Midian, where he became the father of 2 sons. So right now we live in a very interesting time. The political landscape is crazy polarized. And we see that COVID-19 is surfacing a lot of the issues that we face in Native America. All of this is really culminating into a lot of racial tension, a lot of political tension, and a lot of just societal tension in general. And I think we're all in the same boat, that we have this sort of anxiety to do something right now to help our people. And a lot of you are educated. A lot of you are pursuing positions of authority in your community. And a lot of you are developing social media platforms so you can have a voice. But the question is that the right formula for God to make a change in this world? And what we just read in the scripture was that Moses was adopted by Pharaoh's daughter, so he had status, and he was tutored in Egyptian education, so he's well educated. And we see that later on in life, he was an overseer of the Hebrew people. So status, education, and authority. And we see that Moses started to develop his own idea of what righteousness is. That justified him killing the Egyptian man. Of course, we know that this was a mistake. He fled into the desert. And right now, this story mirrors a lot of my experience. It was a number of years ago when I graduated college, and I had this desire to help my people, and I thought education was like the golden standard that I had to reach in order to make an impact on my people. A lot of opportunities started opening up, but in doing so, I wasn't being discipled or led, nor was I seeking it. And I started to develop my own understanding of what right was and what limits I had on my behavior and conduct. I fell into sin, and I just seen my whole world shatter. The people around me were hurt from a lot of things that I've done and said. I hurt people that trusted and loved me and gave me all the grace in the world. I ran back into the desert. Everything I thought that was in my horizon was taken away. Luckily, Moses' story doesn't end in the desert. He's not stuck there perpetually regretting the one opportunity he had to help his people. God is good. Moses got married in the desert. Moses became acquainted with his people and his stories in the desert. Moses had kids. It took 40 years for Moses to learn one thing, is that it wasn't going to be his status, his education, or his authority, yet these things are important. But these things weren't required for God to work in him. All God wanted for Moses to do was to learn how to listen to him. It is only when we learn how to listen to God that he can do amazing things through us. Now, in my own life, being in the desert, I married the love of my life, and I have a son. And I get to have opportunities like this, speaking to you guys. The only difference now is that I understand how broken I am. So here's my call of action for you, is that you understand that in God's eyes, we are not perfect whatsoever. We are broken and we are fractured, and whatever standard we hold up to our fellow man is going to be held up against us at the end. And that's why we take on the identity of Jesus, is because he was the only one to complete the law perfectly, and out of his grace, he took us along with him. And as we see this political landscape starting to break people, you love each side more and more and more each day. I have to remind myself that our faith in Jesus is supposed to supersede all of these concerns. It is not my place to try to solve the world's problems. It is certainly my place to love people the same way Jesus loved me, and to extend grace and patience that is so unnatural to this world that you're going to look crazy. And I guarantee once we have people that learn how to listen, that's when change will come to our people on these reservations. We not only decolonize our country and our culture, but we also decolonize sin and darkness from our heart. So again, during this event, just open your eyes, open your ears, and open your heart to the teachings and the wisdom that comes from a lot of my colleagues. So thank you for inviting me. Eat tons of fried bread. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Little Chase, Rashawn, and Wade. Wade said everything good up until the last point, like eat more fried bread. So maybe not want to eat more fried bread, but we'll thank Wade and Rashawn for his words. So let's give them a hand or a reaction on the chat somewhere. Really good to hear from the younger people and just how they're working through their faith and how they love their people the way Jesus intended. It's really good to hear and to see them just kind of come around and help even begin to teach us. So we'll continue moving on. We heard from the little Che's. Che in Navajo means a grandfather, but also men call each other that as a sign of respect and honor too. But we'll hear from the big Che now. So I'm gonna invite Jay Goins he's our next presenter tonight, and he's an elder, and he's going to speak a little bit about eldership. And so I'm going to introduce Jay. His name is Jerry, but he also goes by Jay Goins, which he prefers. So if you talk to him, maybe call him Jay, not Jerry. He is a longtime friend and attender of WJEF. He and his wife, Stephanie, live in New Haven, Connecticut, where she has been overseeing the international program for the Anti-Child Trafficking Organization for about 10 years now. Jay's people are located in a Native community in North Carolina that is not federally recognized. Jay has been in cross-cultural ministry for close to 40 years, concentrating most of his efforts since 2005 on health and balance in First Nations communities. He has a high regard for values, standards, customs, and practices that the First Nations traditionally use to establish this peace and harmony. The traditional elder, irreplaceably important to Indigenous communities in the past, is just as vital to healthy communities in the 21st century. Jay is here to lead our discussion that will help us understand how to have a more active interchange with elders. So Jay, welcome to the Zoom stage.
Thanks, everybody. Really good to be here. I guess I'll just start off by saying that the intent of this session is to generate ideas and action rather than to inform and teach. There's a lot to be said about elders and what they've done and who they are, but most of us, I think, would be fairly confident being able to identify an elder if we encountered one. But I want to focus on what now? Most of us know that elders are important, but I'm suggesting that in the 21st century, we don't have a full understanding now of why elders are important. So I want to talk a little bit about tradition, and then I would like to initiate an open conversation in our small groups, exchanging ideas on how we can build up and develop stronger relationships with our elders in the 21st century. Sharing and exchanging with each other is going to be very important in these small groups because it is a way of cooperating with the purposes of today's program. If you don't participate, this didn't work very well. After 150 years of cultural foundations being dismantled and demolished, we need to rebuild a solid function and purpose for tribal eldership. It is also important to be able to articulate our thoughts and ideas and feelings and reactions outside ourselves. That's really a lot of how we learn to personalize what it is, our ideas, and how we're thinking and how we feel is by exchanging it with somebody else. And it may and probably will have value with somebody else in the group. So it may be something you've been thinking about for years. It may be something that just occurred to you today. But if you consider it to be significant to you, then share it in the group so that it will have the opportunity to be significant to other people. So right now, before we get started, I just want to say a word in condolence to you who have lost elders recently. And I pray that the shared memory that made them so special to you will not weaken, and that the love relationship that you had with them will never leave you lonely. Thank you, Creator, for love, for it's eternal. Let's begin our focus on a discussion on elders by taking a look at the value and purpose that came with the identity of elder. A function and responsibility of our traditional elders in the community was to be the tribe's keeper of truth. It was, in the past, relied on by our elders for clarity on questions of right and wrong, on decisions of good, better, and best. And it was how we interpreted in the long run and in the short purposes, how the effects of events were going to take place in our communities and in our families. From the insights gained by their knowledge and experience, an elder could serve the tribe as a wise, knowledgeable judge. Elders would have the insight to foresee difficult and dangerous possibilities in our communities and our family and personal lives before they became a threat. We would rely on them as the ones who would have learned from their experience how to achieve the best and utilize the desires of our objectives. In other words, they would help us to understand how to best utilize what it is that we are hoping will happen to us, as well as to release what can no longer be held onto and maintained properly. They would be trusted advisors in all aspects of life and in life's transitions. Now we're going to go into our small groups pretty quick because the value of this particular session is exchange between one another. I'll talk a little bit about why I'm not just going to stand up here and actually sit and drone on and on and on about elders, talking about myself and how old I am. But the value of being able to do something significant is going to be coming from people within our groups. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but the group leaders, the small group leaders have a few discussion prompts that they're going to throw out. And what I would like for somebody in the group to do that would not consider this to be a burden, but if you could write down what's being exchanged in the group, it would benefit me a great deal. If I could get some feedback from your group, because this is kind of a main point for me, and I'm kind of moving forward in Native communities trying to make a difference. So let's go into our small groups and discuss this stuff. We're awash in knowledge, but in an increasingly AI dependent world, what is becoming more and more scarce is wisdom. Wisdom wealth becomes increasingly more important in the world that is consistently more and more tech obsessed. I'm sure that we all have learned that knowledge is in itself of very little value. In fact, it can be destructive. It can be a detriment. Wisdom is not taught. Wisdom is shared. An elder's wisdom has their fingerprints all over it. And that's what creates relationship. We're going to break out into discussion groups again. And here's what I want you to think about. Am I still on? I can't tell.
Yes, you are.
All right, great.
Yeah.
All right, so here's what I want you to think about. The seven First Nation values. I mean, in some of our communities, like in my culture, there's more like 12. But fundamentally, they all boil down to love, respect, courage, honesty, wisdom, humility. It's all of the character development issues in our lives. I want you to think about who can you say in your life is deliberately enabling you to walk this path, your path, with these qualities, and how are you being equipped to do that? I mean, how is it happening? So let's go to our breakout groups again and think about that stuff. Okay. Is everybody back? Okay. I'm going to take that as a yes. I think that we probably have found that there's a lot missing in terms of a deliberate effort to establish the kind of personal development that we're wanting to have in our lives. It's not built into our society so that we have any clear understanding of how we're going to get that. But the elder's task and responsibility is to lead you on a journey that starts propelled by ego into the soul's quest for wholeness? Could it be that the traditional elder is the professor of the life journey wisdom school? Our elders have already arrived at the essential features that absolutely define their lives. Through personal guidance by their elders, when they were developing youths, this would enable them to see clearly to direct others. A path is much easier to lead others on when you have already traveled it. Traditionally, through many generations, there would be a definite, sturdy structure that would establish trust in us for those who loved us most and knew us intimately from the beginning of our years as they guided us on the path of development. Having a clear idea of who you are provides an uncluttered understanding of what you can do and what of value you have to offer. One of the very key extrapolations of this developmental model is discovering the path that a person will pursue in fulfillment of their life's purpose. Self-discovery is always a focal point, but equally important and far more fulfilling is communal belonging. Regarding our elder relatives and others among us that are elderly in our communities, as those who just can't do it for themselves anymore, is really not appropriate. Rather than duty, if each person would view the needs of others as an opportunity, it would translate into a statement more about who we are than a comment about what the other person can or cannot do. The ancient format where elders were known and acknowledged as available in our midst to be sought out and employed when we needed when we needed them or the occasion warranted is not nearly as viable in Native American society anymore. Each community will have to provide an opportunity very deliberately for the elderly in our midst to find and establish purpose and personal identity. So let's go back into discussion time and let's talk about these particular questions. This is an interesting one, and I think that it's definitely something that needs to be talked about by us young people. Do you think that the elder stage of life is the happiest? Why do you think that, or why don't you think that? And what ideas come to mind on including elders as being more active in our lives and in our communities? What ideas come to your mind about how that we can do that? So let's go talk to each other. Are we all back? Good.
Take it away, Jay.
All right. Very cool. Okay, everybody. I am glad to see everybody's back and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so I'm not going to say a whole lot more right this moment, but I think I don't even really know when we're supposed to be wrapping up here, Donnie. Can you tell me?
In about 10 minutes.
About 10 minutes. Okay, so I'm just going to say a couple more things about this, and then I think this may not work, but let's just ask for. Can we ask for questions?
Yeah, that's kind of the ending part.
Yeah.
So if anyone has,
let's see if we can. You guys can take a crack at like an open question answer.
Yeah, the chat would be best, just so we don't have overlapping noises. But I'll start us off if that's okay, Jay.
Okay, but I'm not ready yet.
Oh,
okay.
Too bad. So as we talked about elders and the separation of elders and young people, how can the young people listening on this call? What's a good way for them to approach elders? Like, is there certain protocols or something they should be worried about, or something they should be aware of as they approach elders?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. The protocol, the specific protocol is, in general, you need to bring a gift. Don't approach an elder without a gift. Even if they don't expect it, and even if they don't even want it, it's the right thing to do. You're not making a mistake if you offer a gift, and specifically, each individual tribe, band, or nation has a way for young people to approach their elders, and I think you just have to ask somebody older than you how to go about doing that. But typically, I would say make an effort to reach out to an elder and ask them for their input on something that's important to you. That's something that tribal elders know that's a purpose that they serve, and so if they show somebody if they see somebody that shows interest in them serving their purpose that way, then it's almost certain that you'll get a favorable response from them.
That's okay. Yeah, that's
all right. But before I go on, I just want to say something about that whole thing, and that is this: relationship with elders is far from just learning stuff and getting trained in stuff. It's much more than that. Traditionally, our relationship with elders, we learned everything from older people who knew exactly how to do it right. But it was relationship that was developed through the process of exchanging skills and knowledge and wisdom. The deal was that we had to spend time with them to get equipped that way. But the relationship was what was the main value from that process. So that's really what we're after. We're after being able to spend time with somebody long enough to be able to develop not just a respect for them because they've been through a lot, but a real love for them because they're another person. And that respect and love comes from getting to know them. So that's kind of what it's after. It's not really, can you teach me to be wise, or can you teach me not to make mistakes, or can you teach me to make some cool moccasins like that? That's part of it, but that's not the main important thing. So I just want to make sure that I got that out there.
Yeah, no, that's good. I like that. The reciprocity of relationship, not just going to an elder to get something, but it's you're providing them that relational respect of the gift and your time and being able to engage with them. So yeah, that's really good. So follow-up question also from Christina. She said, how would you suggest those of people like her who have probably lost elders in their community and they don't have someone to learn from, how can they continue seeking wisdom?
Well, my advice, if I was young and in that situation, I would look for people who had qualities that I felt were important to me, and I wanted to gain the ability to either carry those or execute those qualities, and then reach out to those people and express to them that this is a path that you're on, and ask them to help you with it.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like one elder doesn't know everything that you want to gain. It's not the way it works. Everybody's got different qualities. Everybody's got different skills, talents, and abilities. And I would say find the people who you admire and have things that you believe will make you into or bring you on a path closer to who you want to be, and reach out to those people and express to them that this is the path you're on, and ask them to help you with it. There's an old saying that, I think it's an old Indian saying, all they can say is no.
Yeah, that's really good. That's all. And elders like to say no, right? Because they have better things to do, like bingo and go to town and hang out and do other stuff than teach young minds, right? Just kidding. Yeah, thank you again for that. That is helpful, because I think every tribe does have their own set of protocols too. Like they won't share everything, but you kind of have to meander through the relationship. Then you reach a certain level of respect and honesty. Then you learn stuff too. So that's really good reminder. I think we have time for one more question. Brittany wrote, how can they better connect, or no, James wrote, how can they connect? What's your advice on how to connect with elders during COVID when we're not able to see them or get to them, or we don't want to open our, we don't want to get them sick, basically. So what's a good way to connect with elders during this COVID situation?
I'm afraid I don't have any bright ideas on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you. We cannot take any chances to expose them to something that is very detrimental to their health. So, I mean, I don't know. You have to ask somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't know how to connect with an elder if you're not with them. So
yeah. On the chat, they're talking about how younger people can give a chance to teach the elders how to use Zoom and maybe buy them the technology. I know at a church here where I help preach, they actually bought tablets for some of the elders and taught them how to use it. So now they're in church virtually every Sunday. So maybe that comes back to what you're talking about, reciprocity. Like, the younger ones can teach them, and eventually they'll be able to come talk to each other virtually and hang out and build relationships. That'd be really good. So one question I thought my group, the design team, came up with for you, Jay, specifically is you had mentioned how you asked the younger people if they're happier now than they were younger. So how would you answer that for you, like right now? Are you happier now than when you were younger?
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, you sure we have time for this question?
Yeah. Time is irrelevant. Yeah, we're on Indian time now. So.
Yeah, I actually am, because fortunately for me, I have worked through a lot of the I guess you could say, the results of events that's happened in the past, so that I'm not burdened by some old baggage and stuff that in many cases make our elders difficult to be around. So, but on that topic, traditionally, the very best time in life is to be my age, because you actually can do anything you want to do and nobody can correct you. But and lots of elders still act that way. But by the time you get to be my age, if you're in a healthy indigenous community, you know what to do, and you know when to do it, and you know what not to do, because the best interest of your community and everybody in it is what your life purpose is. So it's not just sitting around going, well, you one piece of fried bread. Why do you bring me one piece of fried bread? You know I like fried bread. Go get me another piece. No, it's not that attitude. When you've developed in the right way in a healthy indigenous community, you understand that sacrifice is making sure that you don't discourage a young person who is taking a long time to learn something that they need to know. You know it's your responsibility to continue to be encouraging and enabling, even if it drives you nuts. But it's true, you get to do anything you want to, any way you want to, and nobody can correct you. But at that point, you know how to act. So for me, it's, I wouldn't say that I'm the excellent elder by any means, but I would say that I definitely am getting happier as time goes on.
Well, that's very encouraging. Very encouraging for all of us that are really young like me. Just kidding, I'm not that young anymore. But yeah, that's encouraging to hear that, those are good times to be kind of alive and be able to spread your knowledge. And yeah, I can see that as my parents got older, like they're amazing grandparents. But when I tell my nieces and nephews and my kids, like, they're different people now. I knew them when, and then they don't ever believe me. Like, like they would yell, like, yeah, it's just such a different reality for them. It's pretty funny. But yeah, I think, I guess kind of one last comment, if you don't mind, Jay, is, the climate is different now for Native people. Like, we don't live in our traditional societies anymore, where elders usually lived in the home and interacted with the community and family naturally, just because they're around each other. Now, like me, I live way out in Albuquerque. My people are back up north in Gallup. So how can you speak into that? Like, how do we navigate this new climate where there's separation of families into nuclear families, and just kind of the elders been kind of not removed, but just naturally kind of divided by the space between all of us?
Yeah, I think that we have been just constantly distancing, just by the nature of American society and first world society, or the developed world is just naturally gravitating that way. But that's where I want to encourage everybody to exchange with each other. How can you deliberately make efforts to include elderly people, not just tribal elders, but elderly people in general, include them in life activity, because the natural process in American culture is to remove them because they become more demanding. They just need more. And older people, not just in American society, but in our tribal communities as well, are dying lonely old people, and we should never let that happen. We can't let that happen. If we treat other people like we want to be treated, we have to find ways to include them so that they have purpose. We've got to do it. It's just not right. It's inhumane the way we because of convenience, we shove them to the side, and they really don't have any purpose, and they don't have connection. So we've just got to address it.
Yeah, I think that's important, especially now during COVID, because of that. We don't want to affect elders. I think a lot of them end up getting neglected. And there was a few articles about that for the Navajo Nation where they didn't even know what was going on because they didn't have radio or television, and they were just kind of in the, and literally in the wilderness about everything that was happening. And that was just really sad to see. And yeah, definitely is not part of our culture, the way we were raised to respect and love our elders. So thank you, Jay. Let's all give a round of applause or reaction, amen reaction to everything Jay said so far. It's really good. Thank you for spending time with us and just being able to hear your wisdom and your stories, and for teaching us how important eldership is and still is and will continue to be, and to bridge that gap between us and elders and how to reciprocate relationally and to glean from their knowledge and wisdom. And I love that, that tweetable saying, like, wisdom isn't shared. Or what did you say? Wisdom isn't.
Well, my notes have gone off the.
Okay, yeah. So
no, I'm kidding.
It was good though.
Wisdom isn't learned; it's shared.
There you go. That tweetable moment. All right. Thank you, Jay, so much. And remember, Jay's still gonna be around, so I don't know if he'd be willing to take more questions. And if you ever bring Jay fry bread, make sure it's 2 pieces from his little spiel. He said 1, so just 2. I mean 3. I'm sorry. So you ever bring Jay fry bread, make sure it's 3 pieces, so you don't get in trouble and get a lecture. So, all right, I'm gonna turn it over to Hillary for some announcements.
Yeah, so you guys are gonna have one more small group time after this, about 20 minutes, that time can be used to continue the conversation that we've been having or to pray for one another. So I'll leave that up to the small group leaders. Also, if you feel like you're talked out, but you really could use prayer, the prayer room is opening now and will be open for the next 90 minutes. We haven't talked too much about prayer ministry yet, so I just wanted to take a minute and explain what that is for those of you who've never had prayer ministry before in this context. There is a group of folks that have been praying for you all weekend and will be praying for you tomorrow. And actually, they've been praying for you since long before the conference started. These are really deep people who care about you a lot. And they have been in a separate Zoom room throughout the weekend just praying for you. And they also are very gifted at listening to Creator. So if you have something going on in your life where you feel like you could just use someone wise by your side to help you listen to Creator, if you have a loss in your life, maybe something came up about the elders or other dynamics in your family that are on your heart, if you have spiritual questions and feel like you could use some guidance, or maybe you're doing okay, but you'd like to just receive a blessing. I know they would be happy to just pray a short blessing over any of you. So please do take advantage of the prayer room. And that, as I said, will be going on for the next 90 minutes. You may have some tough choices though, because also after small group will be the elder breakout room guided by Renee. So that'll be a time if you're eating to go hang out with elders, or if you're not ready for dinner yet, just to hang out. But just a reminder to staff, we're going to try to reserve that space for just students and elders to interact. So after you're done with small groups, if you are going into the elder breakout room, you can do that directly from your small group space by the breakout tab that will be on the bottom. If you want to go to prayer ministry, you'll need to enter a separate Zoom room. And that link is on the main Google Doc that you all should have, as well as Donnie's Diner, which is also linked on that doc. And a lot of folks were enjoying that last night. So for some reason you are not planning to go to the elder dinner and want a place to hang out, please feel free to go to Donnie's Diner. And then finally, just wanted to remind you guys that tomorrow night we'll be having our time of cultural celebration and sharing. And that's going to be a time to just celebrate what you've been hearing from Creator and also to celebrate one another's cultures. So think about what you might want to share, a song, a dance, a story, a testimony. And if you'd like to send a video ahead of time, if you get a little nervous about performing on Zoom, you can submit a video to wjef@crew.org. All right, enjoy your small groups and see you guys in a few.